Hey, Jerry.
Hey, J-Rob.
You know what time it is?
I do know what time it is. It is that time
For the show?
for the Jerry and J-Rob Cover It All show.
Hold on. Jerry, we have a guest today.
I see that. James,
Hello.
good to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Everybody, welcome James Oliver to the show. I'm glad you're here. Appreciate you being here. We've kind of made it a point to start adding people of high caliber, get out there and get it done ism to the show, and we're glad you're here today. You've got some a unique story, something I've been following you on Facebook for a little bit about. Some mountain climbing stuff that you've been doing. I guess trails. It's all climbing a mountain to me, but there are differences. I get it, so don't everybody get me for not saying mountain climbing or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so James, you've got some pretty astonishing goals that you set this past. I don't know when you set them, but you were attempting to carry them out this last month or so, and we'd like to hear more about that, and we'd like to also hear what it's going to support, because that's a big deal to us, supporting others in need. So just tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Well, James Oliver. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a man of faith. I love to hike. I love to. I was talking to J-Rob over here about some of the churches.
That was Jerry.
I'm sorry. Jerry, J-Rob?
No, that's Jerry.
That's Jerry. That's J-Rob.
We do know
Okay.
each other.
Okay. So I've got the J's. So J1 and J number 2.
It's hard. And then you got James in the middle.
Yeah.
We'll mix it all up.
It does
Triple J today.
It does get confusing. So
It does.
yeah, I was talking to Jerry about just some of the passion I have even for photographing churches. Maybe it's another podcast for a later date. But no, I love to hike. Actually, through the pandemic, I kind of re-established my love for hiking. And through that, I actually lost about 15 pounds when my wife was telling me that everybody else was gaining 15 pounds. I lost the COVID-15. She probably will tell you she gained the COVID-15, but we'll save that.
We're not going to admit to that.
We're not going to admit to that. No, she looks
it.
great, by the
Look
way.
great,
Just
yeah.
so in case she's listening.
It's a good save. Good save.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, so I learned about this trip through an organization that my wife and I have been very passionate about called Africa New Life. They support children, education, and communities all throughout Rwanda. And after the genocide, they needed some light. They really needed some hope. And this organization came in about 20 years ago, established itself, and to help rebuild these communities. And they're doing it through education. They're doing it through vocational services and other elements to help these villages outside of the main city center of Kigali find fresh water and grow their own food and become sustainable. And so we've seen firsthand what this organization has done for transforming lives over there. And so we, have just really kind of put ourselves all into supporting this organization. We've met a lot of wonderful people through the organization that are part of it, that have actually risen up from it, who were sponsored children. And so my wife's been to Rwanda twice already on a couple of mission trips. And then several years ago, she told me about this trip they do every year where they take hikers up to Kilimanjaro. And they train, and then they go summit Mount Kilimanjaro to raise awareness and raise money for the organization. And so she's like, you love to hike, you love the outdoors, that's right up your alley. So back in 2019, I knew about this trip, and I was actually going to sign up and go. But when I found out that the initial trip I was going to go on in 2020, which they still went, by the way, because they went in early February before everything really shut down, and it was all women. And so I decided, I'm going to hold back, because I want them to have their time. It was a full group of women. I didn't want it to be too weird or anything.
But you might have won.
I might have. I probably would have gotten my tail kicked, but because a lot of these women are runners, and I don't like to run. We can talk about that later. But
I'm just being politically incorrect. But go ahead.
But that's all fine and good. I really wanted them to have their moments. I think it'd be really special with just a team of women going up and summiting and kind of bonding and having their time together. So I waited. 2021, obviously, pandemic was in full swing. Plus, it was actually Africa New Life's 20-year anniversary, so they weren't going to take a team up that year. So we were going to go in 2022. Well, things were still kind of uncertain, so we pushed it out to 2023. And so in this whole time, I've just been training and finding challenges and things to kind of just test my ability, test my physical strength, my mental strength, and all of that, and just prepare myself for that journey that eventually I'll be going on in 2023 when we do go finally hike and summit Kilimanjaro.
That'll be really cool.
It's going to be really epic. It's going to be a life-changing event from what I hear, and I absolutely expect it to be life-changing.
Very good. So Rwanda, most people, especially here in America, they know nothing past their nose of what's going on in the rest of the world because we have so much drama and stuff on TV as it is here in America. So what is the culture like in Rwanda right now?
Well, I mean, quite frankly, I mean, it's a very, very small landlocked country. They don't have access to the ocean or rivers or anything like that. So it's a very landlocked country, but they have become a technology hub. Through some of the help and work that Africa New Life has done there, and through a very stable government, they have turned themselves into kind of the Singapore of Africa.
Okay.
They've become one of the safest nations in all of Africa. They're certainly becoming more and more economically, prosperous through the technology that people are investing in, and you're seeing that kind of economic growth in the country. But you still have all these villages and areas that still need help and support. And so there's actually even an initiative where, like, Rwanda is going to work with Tanzania and Kenya and even the Democratic Republic of Congo, and they might even create kind of like almost like a European Union, so to speak, but in Central Africa. So there's definitely this kind of halo effect that's kind of coming from Rwanda and all the good that's happening there. And I like to think that Africa New Life has been at the center of that.
I'm sure it's helped for sure.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, very good. So, you want to say something, Jerry?
Well, I was just going to bring up the fact that Africa New Life, I understand they help establish wells and feeding centers and things. They help out in that area, education and stuff like that. But what I liked about what we talked about earlier before the show was how they don't just provide for the physical needs, but they provide for that spiritual element too.
Yes, they
do.
In
sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they are a faith-based organization. Pastor Charles is actually the man who started the organization, and had a chance to meet him a few times. And he's a wonderful human being. He's doing great work over there. But yeah, they are a faith-based organization spreading Christ's word throughout the communities. And so these organizations sometimes go in, they don't have that element. They have that element, that feature that helps give them an opportunity to believe in something, and it gives them hope.
Yeah.
And then they can see through the work that this organization is doing that it's God's work, and they're really helping lift these people up, lifting them up out of poverty and giving them an opportunity. That's
outstanding. So what caught my attention about you, we've met previously. In fact, you helped us with some of our studio equipment stuff here, and I appreciate that very much. One of the things that I've noticed about you as we've been friends on Facebook is kind of your journey, your hiking journey, and, and where we kind of started at the beginning of this conversation. So tell us what you recently did, and you told me the base of it was the Rwanda relief here that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. But tell me exactly what you had planned out here in America and what you had planned on doing and what you did.
Yeah, so I was in Colorado with my family. We went there for a family reunion on my wife's side of the family and spent a few days there. And then I was going to stay back for a week and go do several hikes. And I was going to go ahead and start my fundraising for my Kilimanjaro hike and raise awareness for the organization. So I had an ambitious plan of doing 10 peaks in 5 days. And as I was mentioning earlier, I actually there's several hikes you can do in Colorado where you can bag multiple 14ers in one hike. And so there's one where you can get 4 literally in one hike, and the hike is about 8-9 miles long. It's still a very strenuous and challenging hike, but the fact that you can get 4 in one, you're not having to do 10 separate hikes to get 10 in 5 days. And so this is early June, very late May, early June that I went, and so I started my journey off trying to attempt Gray's and Torrey's Peak. It's a duo that is relatively doable. It's one of the easier 14ers trails that you can hike on, except the trail conditions were still quite not optimal. It's still early in the season. It wasn't quite what they call 14er season yet, and so long and short is I wasn't actually able to get 10 14ers in 5 days. I actually ended up doing 2 fairly strenuous trails, and I only really summited one peak during that time, and I decided to fly back early primarily because trail conditions were just not right yet.
Right.
The snow was melting. It was melting fast, but I was about 2 weeks early for my hikes. And so I ended up going up Monday, which was Memorial Day, and by about 600 feet from the summit, the wind was blowing about 50 miles an hour. It was complete whiteout. I was post-holing about 18 inches every step without snowshoes. It's even more difficult, and I just could just feel the life and just the energy just sucked out of me.
Right.
And I the whole way up, I'm praying, I'm talking to God, I'm using that side of my faith to help push me up the mountain, and it got me to that far even without snowshoes. There was snow along the entire trail, and to get that far without that extra added equipment was pretty amazing in itself. There's actually a guy coming down with snowshoes, had summited, and just told me conditions were brutal at the top. So I made the choice to actually turn around, and there was a couple that I had started out with. I just met them at the trailhead, and we decided to go together. They had turned around probably about a half a mile before I did, and at any rate, I did not summit that day. And so I took Tuesday to kind of recalibrate. Did a little bit shorter hike near Buena Vista. Nothing too high. It's probably whatever the elevation of Buena Vista is, which is probably 9,000 feet above sea level. Still pretty high for most of us,
Right.
Here at sea level. But yeah, I decided to just kind of recalibrate, rethink my plan. And so then I thought, well, Wednesday I'm going to go do La Plata Peak. And so, but before I get there, what I wanted to say though, with all these hikes, and the idea was to create awareness, right?
Right.
I was telling this couple that I met on my first hike on Monday when I went to do Gray's and Torrey's Peak. Her name was Marissa, and his name is Maurice, and he's actually from Germany. And I think they were both doctors. And what was interesting, I just told him my name. I told him, I'm doing this fundraiser for Africa New Life, and she went and found me on Facebook, found my fundraiser. She didn't even know my last name, and she donated to it.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's
awareness.
That's just awareness. That's God doing great things
That's
in our
right.
life, right? I mean,
That's
I was
right.
out there on the trail, and I still was able to raise money just being out there. So even though I didn't get the goal of getting all the peaks and the hikes in, I still created awareness. I was able to raise through all of this about $1,600 of the 10K that I'm still trying to hit. So it's a great start. And the exciting thing is that the team that I'm on, the men's team and even the women's team, we're looking to plan a trip to Colorado later to do some more fundraising before we go to Kilimanjaro. And so sometime in August, we're looking to go back. And I'm contemplating the thought of maybe going a little bit early and doing some of those hikes that I really wanted to do.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's excellent, James. What strikes me about it is you had a goal, you had an intended goal that you wanted to finish up. Didn't work out. I mean, that's such as life, right? I mean,
Sure.
that happens all the time. We talk about that. It's continue with that drive, continue with the perseverance, pushing through. Some situations you don't have the opportunity to persevere through. You just have to reset and try it at another time when, like you said, when conditions are ideal. Certainly not where somebody getting hurt or dying over just to make a little bit of a goal. But at the end of the day, I'm all about goals. I'm all about accomplishments. I'm all about setting those big vision, big ideas, and getting out there and doing your very best to achieve them. If it doesn't work and that's a failure, that's good. That means you're getting out of the box. You move on and do it again, and next time it's hopefully will go your way. But yeah, what a great organization and a great way to earn some funds for those guys and to raise money for that. I know that we'll include the website here in the video afterwards. And if you wanna
please do.
Tell everybody where to go right quick to donate. That'd be helpful.
Well, right now, I would just go to africanewlife.org, just their website. You can go out there and learn all about the organization, learn about what they do, and you can absolutely donate there through their site. You can even learn about some of the children that they have out there. You can even sponsor a child and learn about the different villages and communities that they support organizationally. They actually have operations. They have an office in Portland, Oregon, and I know there's a couple of folks that work for them here in the Austin, Central Texas area and in Houston. But outside of that, I mean, they need support from people just like you and me, and they also work through local churches to raise awareness. And and that's actually how we learned about it. We learned about it through our church, that they were partnering with Africa New Life, and then that's how we learned to sponsor our child. And probably one of the most beautiful things is that you develop a relationship with the family and with the child.
Right.
They write to you.
That's
you can
cool.
write to them. You can do other things. Like throughout for birthdays and for the holiday season, you can buy them an extra bag of rice, or you can help buy the child you sponsor some new shoes and things like that. But we also got to do my wife has done 2 in-home visits and gotten to meet the family, and she has some pictures that she'll just cherish for the rest of her life.
That's cool.
But yeah, it's all about goals. It's all about trying to achieve those goals, and if you don't hit them, you have to realize that God's got a plan for you.
Right.
And so even though I didn't get that peak that first day, I went back. I went up Wednesday, and I went and did La Plata Peak, and successfully did it. And and it sucked the life out of me because there's still snow, there were still tough conditions, but I still made it to the top and made it back down. And that's when my wife just said, it's time to you've done what you need to do. Come home early and let's reconnect and we'll recalibrate and we'll go from there. But you've done some great work, and so I'm very proud with the effort that I put into it, and this thing's going to just keep on going.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she sounds like a smart lady. Jerry, what do you think? August, you want to go hike some peaks?
Sure, but we'll have to start out with some pretty
short
small ones.
That's fine. As long as we
Absolutely.
get up to land passes, that'll be good for now. We'll just make it there and back. So, I don't know if you've watched any of the previous episodes. Jerry's lost a significant amount of weight. He's
for you.
he's working on his health, and I too have lost a lot of weight. But we both help other people with that part of their life. So we do some health coaching stuff like that, and we're all about it. So maybe if we can set a goal to go do something physical in the future, that'd be pretty cool. And if it certainly could raise his money, it'd be well worth
That'd
it.
be great.
Yeah. Hey, it's just about eating right and walking.
Yeah.
Get out. You got to
Keep
move.
moving.
You got to move.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Some
right.
Healthy meal. So, I like your shirt. Live a bold life.
Yep.
So one of the things that we try to do is encourage people to try new things, get out of their comfort zone, things like that. So what advice might you have for somebody who's listening and going, "Wow, I could never do that," or maybe they're listening going, "I want to do that." Like what kind of advice would
Good
you
question.
have for our listeners?
That's actually a great question because just recently, it's all about personal confidence. And a lot of people sometimes don't have confidence.
Right.
And like I was telling you before, what do I do to build up the mental side to be able to do some of these hikes? Because when you think about 14,000 feet and you're hiking 10, 11, 12 miles and you're ascending 4,000 or 5,000 feet in elevation through that hike. You really want to know what you're getting into, and you need to be able to prepare for that, not just physically but mentally. And so, for me, I like to know what I'm getting into, but I always just like to take the challenge. If you don't do it, you don't know what you can do.
That's absolutely
And
right.
so, if I don't go to 14,000 feet and see how my body is going to react and breathe at that level, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do at 19,000 feet. So,
true.
So you have to be able to try it and do it. But the story I'll tell you real quick is my wife runs her small business, and what was interesting this week is that someone had said, "Hey, I have to go get 3 quotes, and I want you to be one of them for this bid for this project she was trying to win." And one of the companies that she already had a bid from is from a real big corporate brand that she was like, "Well, there's no way I can compete with them." And I said, "Well, just do it anyway. If you don't try, if you don't attempt it, you don't know if you're going to you don't know if you'll be able to compete or not.
That's right.
But at least you're trying."
Right.
And so what happened was she was able to see exactly what what was being quoted. She saw some of the prices that the big corporate company was quoting, and she looked at her pricing and what she could do, and she could absolutely match, and in some cases even beat it. And she was extremely surprised by that. And so she just attempted and tried, and she's like, she might get the business. She may very well get it, and it's going to actually be a pretty good chunk of change for her, which is even better, right? But the fact is, she attempted, she tried, and she didn't just give up at the very outset, thinking that she was overwhelmed by a larger company that might have better pricing and bigger buying power than she does. And so the best advice I can say is, you need to be bold and you need to try things and see what you can do, and it's okay to fail. Because if you're not failing, you're not trying.
That's right.
If you're not failing, you're not trying.
He's listened to every episode we've ever done. I guarantee it. Listen to this guy. He's preaching J-Rob over here. Yeah, man, you got to get out of the box. You got to do it. You got to put some effort into it. You got to have the drive. Confidence comes from knowing. Knowing comes from doing. You got to do it. You got to get out there and make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, that's 80% of it is just getting that first foot out the door to do it.
Well, and like I said, I don't like to run, you know, and I don't have that kind of runner stamina. I see people going up, you know, these big hikes, and they might do them in half the time that I do them in, but that's fine. That's for them. You know, I'm kind of like the tortoise versus the hare. You know, for me, it's just slow and steady. We'll win that race, but at least I'm still trying. I'm still attempting it. I'm going to go all the way to the finish line. But I'm going at my pace, not somebody else's pace.
That's right. And we don't need to compare ourselves to others unless you're trying to improve to beat that certain level.
Absolutely,
but I mean, we're all running our own thing, doing our own thing, but we want to complete it, which is the big thing. We want to finish.
Most definitely.
Well done. Okay, Jerry.
Yep.
We got a car show next week.
Next week, Sulphur Creek Car Cruise in Lampasas, Texas. It's something that we go to every year. And so we're planning on heading over there and taking some of the old cars.
Okay, going to take our cars out there. Going to try to set up a table if they'll allow us, and then we might even do a live show from there and see what happens. See how many hecklers we get. It'd be pretty awesome.
I'm all for it.
Okay, so quick shout out. Thanks to Stack Up Coffee, our coffee. Appreciate it. That's what you're drinking today, James.
Thank you.
I didn't tell you. That's a
Great stuff.
local company that's shipped in from Guatemala and Mexico and some other places.
I love it. It's really good.
They do a good job. So appreciate those guys. Appreciate James Oliver for being here.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Don't forget to donate to this guy as he's trying to get out there and change some lives. I'm all about that stuff. And also, I will mention this to our group that I deal with over in Leander, and we will see if we can maybe add you to the roster for maybe a fundraiser or something like that.
I would love that. That would be great.
We've got when is the deadline to have it done?
Well, we're going to be fundraising all the way up and through the hike. Usually, they really don't start fundraising until later in the year, because when you get closer to actually going and they know you're going to go, people will start to donate. So we usually don't even start our fundraising until around the holiday time frame or shortly after, and right before the hike, and the donations will really start flowing in during the hike and even shortly after the hike is concluded in sometime in early, probably mid-February. But I've just started things early, and so I'm going to be just continuing to build upon what I did was a Facebook fundraiser, but we actually have a managed missions page that I can get you a link to, and they can go out there and donate, and then I'll go directly to Africa New Life for their food and care program. Okay. Well, I think we can get you in there probably fall, early midwinter or something like that, maybe right after Christmas, and do something. Hopefully that will help the endeavors. I think it will for sure. Man, is there anything we didn't ask you? I mean, we can talk about gear. I love to talk about gear, but if somebody wants to know how to prepare for a 14er, but maybe we can say that for another day. Yeah, we can certainly do that again. So appreciate you coming in. I know it was a little bit of a trek for you. I appreciate you kind of getting us set up on some of our equipment here. And I mean, it's what your story is exactly what we're trying to tell everybody. If people will take the time to dream a little bit, have a little bit of a vision, and then actually do the action steps to get towards something, it will change their lives. And we're kind of on a two-man mission here to tell people that and get them to do something positive in the world. So this exemplifies exactly what we're all about right here. You got to have faith in yourself. There you go. There you go. James, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.